And we're live. Welcome back to LOOPcast, every Catholic American's favorite podcast and favorite newsletter. Go check out the Loop if you're already not involved. Josh is back from vacation. You get the LOOPcast lads today. I want to get this right because I know you're technical. Happy Solemnity of the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary. Yes, it is a holy day of obligation here in America, so go get to Mass if you're listening to this today on Friday. Someone in the chat, Catherine, said it is not a holy day in Canada.
I can't speak for the different countries, but even if it's not obligatory, you should go to Mass today, as I did this morning with the family, to celebrate the beautiful Blessed Virgin Mary and the act that, she did not of her own power, of course, Jesus Christ sending the angels down to bring Mary to her heavenly glory in body and soul together. Because she never sinned, God did not punish her with the separation of the body from the soul that happens upon death, and she was brought to heaven. And then a week later, we celebrate her coronation, the Queenship of Mary. So this is just a great time. I love it. Celebrate our Blessed Mother. She's the best.
Josh, it's good to have you back. And does that also mean you can eat meat today?
Dude, I already ate. My lovely wife provided me a banquet of beautiful breakfast meats.
Oh yeah, dude.
I love it.
Had some donuts this morning. I'm wearing blue. I actually do, on that point, live it up. I feel like living liturgically, I don't know if that's gotten lost. I feel like the other thing I've been kind of getting into recently is fasting. But there's a couple things that I feel like we've lost. I'm kind of getting back in touch with. And one of them is when it is a feast day, do it up. Like do it up with the kids.
Right.
Do it up with people around you. Yes, it's actually a day to celebrate, to think about the Virgin Mary, to think about all that. Someone who's living it up, I just wanted to show this because it's heartwarming. But also, I guess it's the feast day of St. Tarcisius, my confirmation saint, which is sick. Shout out St. Tarcisius. But here's Pope Leo singing the Marian antiphon. Dude, so just like everything about it. Background, beautiful music, choir. The aura of the Catholic Church remains unbeaten. Shout out to Our Lady. So a lot of different things to get into today's episode. Josh, welcome back from vacation. It's great to have you. We're going to be talking Little Sisters of the Poor just received a decision. A lot of people in the loop are talking about that. We're going to give that full coverage. Some underground abortion happening in Virginia public schools, which is crazy talk. I saw your friend Tim Carney had a tweet about that. So we're going to cover that as well. Drinking, Josh, down across Americans. Some very interesting Gallup polling on Americans of all stripes, political affiliation, ages, and their habits regarding drinking. So I'm excited to talk about that.
Sounds like a bad idea.
Yeah. Young men not being able to find jobs, a classic topic, but another interesting contribution there. And Deli assault will come up. I promise you that. I truly have laughed at it so many times, and I'm going to save it because it continues to make me laugh. But I say we get right into it. Josh, good vacation, though, before we get into it.
Yeah, it was good to see, I grew up in Minnesota, saw all my family out there, mom, dad, brother and sister, and a bunch of nephews and nieces and stuff like that. So it was good times, yeah. Good.
Okay. Time to dive in. Federal court sides against Trump administration's conscience protections for the Little Sisters of the Poor. If you thought this was over, if you thought this was an Obama thing going after the Little Sisters of the Poor, the legacy continues here. On Wednesday, a federal court in Philadelphia ruled against Trump administration religious conscience ruling and the Little Sisters of the Poor, who are now no longer exempt from providing contraception to staff. The sisters intend to appeal the decision, which is the latest episode in a long saga that, as I said, began with the Obama administration's HHS department mandating the sisters must provide the drugs, even though the Catholic Church opposes the use of contraception unless it is strictly intended to address medicinal problems. The timeline goes all the way back to 2013. It's gone back and forth, got all the way up to the Supreme Court in 2020. They heard Little Sisters of the Poor, Saints Peter and Paul home versus Pennsylvania, and it actually ruled in favor of the sisters. And now in 2025, a federal district court in Philadelphia struck down the Trump-era religious conscience rule nationwide, siding with Pennsylvania and New Jersey. The Little Sisters announced their plan to appeal. Josh, I mean, you would think we're in the golden age of America at this point, that we wouldn't be suing nuns so that they provide contraception and abortion to nuns. What's going on here?
I love this. The government, like, what's the government's interest in this? I mean, we have Democratic politicians who are so devoted to the culture of death. They're like, we need to make sure that women have super cheap, affordable means of contraception, including abortion pills. And you're like, okay, that on its own, we're not even having that debate on whether or not that's a great idea. Like, look at the birth rate. Like, we're having a problem in this country not having enough children. We should try to encourage family formation, try to get people married. But instead, we have these politicians who are like, we need to make sure women never get pregnant.
Dude.
We should, and
no, we need to make sure nuns
they can get their, and that they can abort their kids. And then they're like, okay. And no one in this circle of Democratic politicians is like, okay, yeah, well, obviously nuns, presumably most of them are not having sex, probably don't need contraception, probably don't need abortion pills. And you know what? If they want them, they can still buy them. Leave them alone. But they don't. They're so maniacally zealous in their ideology. They're like, every single woman needs to be able to have the right to have this. And how dare you be against it? Well, I mean, these women don't want it. They've joined this order of nuns. Like, and every day, this is Kelsey Reinhardt, New President Together, brought this up well. Every day that the Little Sisters of the Poor have to spend fighting this in court, it's a day they're taken away from them and serving the poor. So the Democrats are not doing any help on this at all. They're thwarting the great corporal works of these religious sisters. And it's just contemptible. The Democrats are so fanatic about making sure we don't have more babies, contraception, abortion pills, and make sure nuns have them. Bro.
So someone in the chat brings this up too, which is awesome. It is great having to read out the full name of the case saying Little Sisters of the Poor as if somehow they're this evil group of, I mean, they're literally named the Little Sisters of the Poor. I don't know if there's any good way to possibly go against. It reminds me of when politicians name bills and they name it like the Greatest Bill Ever Act. And so if you're against the Greatest Bill Ever, clearly you're evil, right?
How could you be against the Greatest Bill Ever?
And in this case, they're literally the Little Sisters of the Poor. How could you go against them? We actually had a conversation Wednesday, great show with Tom McCluskey, and we're talking a little bit about there's a case that could potentially be taken up by the Supreme Court about overturning Obergefell. And kind of the point we were getting around to, the point actually wasn't that there's somehow these rights not afforded to people that engage in homosexual activity. The point of that was to send a message, basically. And so I feel very similarly about abortion because if you think about it, most of the country is probably in the, they're not totally pro-life, but are probably like, yeah, let's not do third trimester and like, let's not make nuns provide it. Yes. Like they would be fine with that. But there's a small group of activists that are trying to do this to make the point that it doesn't matter, who you are. You could be a nun, you could be anyone. We want this for everyone all the time for no reason.
Everyone to be complicit, everyone to be a part of it. Everyone have to support
send a
financially message. Because they don't want this. I mean, abortion, as Peter Kraft said, is the sacrament of the left.
Right.
Like as Christ said, the Blessed Sacrament, this is my body, given up for thee. Well, of course, abortion is the inverse of that. This is my body, and I'm not going to give it up for you. And I always thought that was such a brilliant and amazing insight on the abortion debate. But the left considers abortion to be central to everything that they talk about with the sexual revolution and reorienting everything about their lives towards their identity and what gives them affirmation or pleasure or happiness or whatever. Their own soul and their own ego is the central focus of their life, and to them, like having a partner or having children. Okay. If it suits you yourself, if that's what you want to do, it's always this rights talk and about making yourself feel better. There's never this idea of, gee, I'm blessed to have had parents that sacrificed so much for me, and I want to raise the next generation, and we all want to be at service to mankind. Like there's so much egoism in today, and it's in the sexual revolution fuels that. It's all about the self.
It's not about living life. Like the message, do whatever you want in your bedroom. Like that was the catchy slogan that forced us on. But if you look again, the slippery slope in two of these cases now, one was there was the two people in Kentucky that wanted to get married. There were two men, and they intentionally sought out the clerk that
Kim
they
Davis,
wanted
that's
her
right.
name on their document. They could have done, and they had no interest in getting married before they heard about this this lady who was just saying, "I don't want this." Look at the cake example in Colorado. Now you
Yeah,
look at
bake the
this
cake,
example
damn
where
it.
it's like, how could we possibly get to a situation where the president is going after the Little Sisters of the Poor,
By the
people
way,
who don't? It's to send a message. It's that's why people are wondering, what do you mean? Why are they being forced? Because if you orient this in the language of rights, then it's like it needs to extend with no exceptions. And in the same way, like that's why the original definition of marriage was important, and a shared consensus of what life is important, so that you can take on those edge cases. And for these people who had power clearly during the Obama administration, they want to punish the edge cases of, say, the nuns or people of sincere Christian religious convictions.
yeah, but so we have an unequal media environment in our country, and we're starting to approach a little bit of balance. But the example that you bring up, like that gay couple wanting to go and have Kim Davis, who had objections to it, wants her name on that marriage certificate, wants to have the government force her to quit her job or to have her name on that document. It's to send a message. All knees must bend. Everyone must submit to the sexual revolution, whether it's the gays or abortion or whatever. And again, like the gays going to the bakers, bake me the cake, and at some point you just think to yourself, there have got to be hundreds of people in Denver that could bake a cake. Why won't you leave this guy alone? And I'm just trying to think of, do we ever see extremists on the other side? I mean, Fred Phelps, that old pastor full of hate, he ended up dying. But he would have the signs up that says God hates fags, right? Like, and most conservatives are like, okay, you're not helping. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Like, God does hate the act of sodomy, and he does hate immoral things, but, not helpful. But imagine if you went up to a baker, that you knew was gay, and he had and he said, hey, bake me this cake. Well, then what then? Are they going to bake the cake? Like, again, there's this idea of at least some basic civil society, like civility in our society, has just really gone out of the window. And people, it's all smash mouth. And the left is aggravate. They're the terrorists. They're the ones that are undermining civil society left and right and everything that we do. And so, like, forcing the florist to cater to the wedding, force someone to bake a cake, force nuns to pay for abortions. Like, dude, you're getting everything you want, and now you want to rub it in our faces. Then the left says, gosh, why did conservatives elect a smash mouth Donald Trump in return? Because you keep coming at us with all this power and for making us do the DEI stuff, and you tell porno stuff to our kids in schools, and after a while it's like, we need a big 800-pound gorilla on our side. We're sick and tired of these timid guys. You're like, oh gosh, I don't know. I know that's wrong, but I can't do anything against it. I guess we'll just no. I'm sick.
It's almost like winning is important.
Yeah,
right? It's almost like we want to win. Like, you need to win. Well, and what you're saying is, like, there was this kind of cushy liberal consensus of the elites and institutions where they pretty much had everything they wanted, right? And then they essentially now punish the edge cases because nothing was holding them accountable, and there was controlled opposition on the other side. Like, they would come up and like, we need to change, but they really were a part of the system. And Donald Trump, again, is like the consummate populist. What do you want? What do you want? You just ask what you want. And that was like a shocking new discovery for politicians.
We don't have to lose every game.
And there's good and bad to that.
Tom, I've described it this way. So, like, maybe kids these days don't remember it anymore, but the Harlem Globetrotters, right? I mean, there's this fantastic basketball team, and it was a sight to see. You go see it, and they would do all these funny tricks or whatever, but they can't just do it alone. They would have to have another scrub team that they would play. I think they were called like the Washington Generals or whatever. And these guys would just sit on like, oh my gosh, whoop, like bumbling idiots, that the Globetrotters could look that much more exciting. Well, I have always said, before Donald Trump came along, all the Republicans in Washington were like those Washington Generals, bumbling idiots. And the Globetrotters would just run tables around these guys. And it's like, why are our guys so feckless and stupid? Like, get out of here. And so, is Donald Trump perfect? No. But he's like, wait a minute. What do you guys want? You want this and that? Okay, great. And these guys seem like they're tearing down a country. Let's stop them. And it's like, oh, yes, thank you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was even listening to something talking about, I think it was like Ross Douthat was interviewing some intellectual about, actually funny, he was talking about what you've talked about in that there's not enough actual representative in America anymore, representation when it comes to by expanding seats and stuff like that. So he's coming up with these radical ideas, right? Like we need to radically change what's going on because what's happening now isn't working. And by making it more democratic, but people somehow are unwilling to see that Donald Trump is a product of said democracy. Like people spoke and they wanted someone to change things, and he did radically change things. And now they're like, oh no, we got to go back now, right? Because like something new has come up that's basically beaten us. It's basically what the subtext of all of this is. Because the Constitution has changed significantly.
Rick Santorum ran for president, and he was very religious and he was very blue collar. And the Democrats, absolutely toasted him and roasted him. And so it's like, okay, fine. And the warning here is like, the left kept saying how much they hated the religious right. The religious right is so terrible. It's bad. It's a scourge on our politics. Like, okay, if you don't want the religious right, what do you think is going to happen when we get the irreligious right? Like that, it's not like Donald Trump is like super pious, it's like,
no,
he's not held back by, what should I do? He's just going to go for the jugular. To him, it's smash mouth politics. The reason why the left hates him so much is that Donald Trump is playing by their rules. And they're like, no. The left thinks they should be able to do whatever they want. The ends always justify the means. And Republicans will be trapped in either their love of the Constitution or their love of their Christian values, and that they'll never be able to respond in kind. And we could run tables around these guys. We can run the tables with these guys. And Donald Trump's just like, I don't think so. I mean, ultimately, I was trying to tell my kids this about like Ronald Reagan's strategy. Now, I didn't like Ronald Reagan on amnesty or whatever. But throughout the entire 1970s, the establishment was convinced we're never going to be able to defeat the Soviet Union, and they'll never be able to defeat us. So we have to have this idea of détente, and we're just going to just coexist forever. And, Reagan was asked about this, and he's running for president. He's like, yeah, no, I have a better idea. My strategy is we win, they lose. And everyone was like, like it was such a scandal. And it's like, that's what I think. That's why so many conservatives like about Donald Trump. He's like, you know what? It's better to win ugly than to lose with all this, self-gloating and I held true to my principles.
Right.
You know what? Your principles are dog water if you're getting mopped by the table every day. Like maybe you need new principles. Gosh.
Josh using dog water on LOOPcast. That's like a LOOPcast bingo. So good. Yeah, I think those days are over. So some people were asking about the original, like why were they in this position to begin with? Wasn't this because Obamacare basically forced everyone to pay for contraception in some way, shape, or form?
Yeah. So again, one of the great things, there was a recent court case that got rid of the Chevron doctrine. So that was so wonderful and so good. But then that just happened within the last year or two. Okay. The Chevron doctrine, though, what it allowed the politicians to do from 1984 onward is to pass a super vague bill and then let the bureaucrats at all the different agencies fill in all the blanks.
Right.
Because that's what the Chevron doctrine, the Supreme Court gave the thumbs up on that back in 1984. And conservatives were super against it from day one. And we've been fighting it, even though in that particular case, we technically won. But the principle was terrible. So we were against it. So Obama and Nancy Pelosi and a bunch of former pro-life Democrats in the House passed that Obamacare, that horrible, wretched bill. And Catholic vote and the U.S. bishops were saying, no, wait a minute. Because we have this Chevron doctrine, you need explicit language in this healthcare bill that prevents all these subsidies and all this healthcare entanglement from supporting abortion. We need it in there. And House, there's like, at the time, there's like 20 these pro-life Democrats in the House. And they were like, yeah, okay, we'll do it. And at the last second, all of them caved except for one, Dan Lipinski, good guy, I love him. All the rest totally caved on it. And so what ended up happening is the bill gets passed and the bureaucrats, the pro-abortion bureaucrats and the pro-abortion political appointees at the Department of Health and Human Services in the Obama administration took about 4 seconds to go, yeah, actually, this vague language, this means all of you have to support, have to provide in your insurance plans, if you have 30 or more employees, coverage for contraception, sterilization, and abortion pills. and Catholic Vote was like, I told you so. I told you so. We told you this was going to happen. Hello. And what happened? We get this horrible mandate. And what they allowed for on religious exemptions, this is so beautifully, unbelievably, condescendingly stupid. They're like, oh, yeah. No, we have religious exemptions for this. And the only people who were religiously exempted from this were men, consecrated religious life, all in the same religion, and no women involved. So basically, a seminary of Catholic priests, would not have to abide by the HHS mandate. Well, okay, I don't know about you, but Catholic priests aren't getting pregnant, so it's not really a problem anyway. So thanks for the exemption.
Yeah,
but
thanks, I guess.
What about EWTN? They're a Catholic television channel. Everyone knows that's what they do, and they're totally against all this stuff. Well, you have men and women who are not consecrated, and you have men and women who, might be of different faiths. So you have to provide for it. And they're like, wait, what? It was just bizarre. It was absolutely asinine. You had a federal government, again, what is the history of our country? We had, oh, why don't you Catholics go over there and the Episcopalians go there? And we had different states where, the different people would reside. And Rhode Island was kind of risky. We're going to let anyone practice whatever faith they want to. Most people are like, that's a little weird. Everyone had a state church pretty much. And then Virginia decided to go a little rogue and say, we're not going to have a state church. And everyone had state church. Church and state were pretty together for a long time. And finally we got rid of it, and maybe that's a better blessing or whatever. But this idea that religion was going to be hermetically sealed from public life was absolutely a foreign concept. And it's a joke. And this idea, again, if you were able to somehow wake up George Washington and Thomas Jefferson and say, hey, by the way, guess what? The federal government is forcing these 30, 40, 50 nuns to pay for abortion. It would be like, did the King of England recapture the United States? What on earth are you talking about? It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah. So resolution on this gets appealed, and then I imagine
ultimately the Sisters of the Poor are going to win, but it's just, again, another silly argument.
Punishment is
this. And what is with the governor of Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro? What does this guy, Josh Shapiro, have such a problem with Catholic nuns? This guy who wants to become president or vice president someday. Catholic voters need to know that Josh Shapiro has declared war year after year against the Little Sisters of the Poor. And it's disgusting. No, he's Jewish. Okay. And I don't, and that was the reason why he wasn't probably nominated by Kamala Harris over that. And we called out the anti-Jewish, bigotry against him. But what's the deal? Is he having anti-Catholic bigotry? What is his maniacal, or is it just that he loves abortion so much?
That story was funny. That story was funny because some people are saying, oh, because he was Jewish, that would hurt Kamala's campaign. And then other people are saying Josh Shapiro actually, he was asked, but he put forth such insane demands that he was hoping to get turned down because he knew that she was going to lose. Which I'm like, I don't even know which one I believe in, but what an insane that campaign. Wow, shortest one ever. Okay, we got to get to the next story now. So B Block, this one really, I don't know if I got this happened a little while ago. I did not get enough attention. I'm not sure what the heck is going on here. But Fairfax County under the gun again. I do not know why Fairfax County keeps coming up, but we have this.
Why it is. Fairfax County used to be a conservative area, about 40 years ago. And then 20 years ago, when I was living in there, it was definitely becoming blue. And now it's Navy. It is where a ton of federal bureaucrats live. And, conservatives are having to move further and further out of Northern Virginia for safe harbor. But Fairfax is, just, I would say, kind of the real turning point where a lot of this, it's upper middle class, white, suburban, usually women who are driving the politics of this area and just in horrible ways.
Because I think it was Loudoun County that had the trans kid.
That's right.
Yeah.
The lack of public safety
sexually assaulted
in the bathrooms. Yes. Yeah. So, Loudoun also is going crazy. Loudoun used to be rock rib Republican, 25 years ago.
So let me set
Fairfax
the story
had
here.
the controversy of, getting rid of the the schools that would, everyone has to be equal and they can't have merit schools. And
was
again,
Loudon also domestic terrorism from the school board parents?
Yeah,
I think
that was
Loud.
Loud. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But anyway, got to set the story here. So I'll share the Catholic Vote article first. Is Fairfax high school teacher says she blew whistle on abortion allegations 7 times and her school ignored her. It goes back to this Substack article from Walter Kurt. In Fairfax County, clandestine school-funded abortions bypass parents, exposing a hidden pipeline endangering teen girls. Getting a little bit into the story here. There was a social worker at Centralville High School, Carolina Diaz, was involved in arranging and bankrolling abortions for 2 students without the parents' knowledge or consent. The first incident allegedly occurred November 2021 when the student was 17 years old. The girl claims Diaz scheduled the appointment, paid for it, and, quote, kept everything quiet without informing my family, end quote, according to Kurt. In the second case, a student who was 5 months pregnant went to an abortion appointment procured for her after Diaz reportedly told her that she, quote, had no other choice. She ultimately decided against the abortion, choosing to leave the clinic rather than go through with it.
Praise God.
According to the report, Principal Chad Lehman knew about both incidents, and both abortion appointments were apparently paid for by school funds. Both times, the parents and the families of the girls were not informed, a violation of a state law that requires at least one parent to be notified before an abortion can be performed for a minor. And so the whistleblower was another teacher, Zenaida Perez, at the school, was the first to blow the whistle. However, she had to blow it a number of times before anything was done. Perez had raised concerns about the claims 7 times since May 2022, but administrators, instead of responding to the allegations, looked to punish Perez for speaking up. Students reportedly said later that the school administrators began looking for ways to fire Perez or pressure her to resign, even attempting to have students bait Perez into minor policy violations. So now we get a lawsuit from Governor Glenn Youngkin saying on Wednesday he has directed state police to open a full criminal investigation into allegations that officials at Fairfax County High School facilitated abortions for minor students. Here's a quote from him. I am deeply concerned with the allegations that Fairfax County public school officials arranged for minors to get abortions without parental consent and may have misused public funds to buy them. I am directing the Virginia State Police Bureau of Criminal Investigation to open a full criminal investigation into the matter immediately. I mean, what are we doing here?
Yeah, and again, I would just say, like, a new kind of Republican. Thank you, Governor Glenn Youngkin. I mean, like, the typical thing, like 20 years ago, when some kind of scandal like this would go down, you hear a bunch of Republicans talking to microphones, how terrible this is. Oh, this is terrible. This is terrible. And then do nothing. Glenn Youngkin is doing something like order an investigation, find out what's going on, fire people if they need to be fired. Like this, it's not the teacher that blew the whistle that needs to be fired. It's the principal. That principal needs to be kicked out. So you are no longer going to be able to teach children.
I'm sorry, you need to be in jail. What are we talking about here?
Yeah.
If you miss, okay, so obviously taxpayer funds.
I think it's a ton of COVID money that flooded these schools in 2021, and I can't believe it. I just can't believe it.
So I saw this tweet from your boy Tim Carney, college roommate of Josh's back in the day. My previous
not college, after college, but yeah,
after college. So it was over this tweet that said right-wing guys from blue states are 10 times more rabid than their red state counterparts, which I don't know if anyone in the chat can relate to this experience. I'm in Ruby Red, Indiana, so I haven't had to deal with that.
Dude, let me tell you, you meet some right-wingers from Los Angeles, and you don't.
Peachy Keenan?
Yeah,
for sure.
Believe it.
So his tweet was, my previous county tried to close my kids' Catholic schools when COVID rates were falling and accused us of elitist racism when we resisted. My current county's public school runs an abortion ring on high school girls, and the prosecutor refuses to bust the brothel in my neighborhood. Seriously, what are we doing here? Good for Youngkin. I like, you know this kind of stuff happens too, right? Like, I think of like Tim Waltz in Minnesota and JB Pritzker, Illinois. Like they would have no problem with this, right? I mean, isn't it just abortion at all costs? Can no one stop and see?
No, not only are they not against it, they absolutely support it, and they feel like it's terrible that you'd have to notify parents and that parents would be involved, because if parents get involved and they find out, oh my gosh, you knew that my daughter was pregnant. Oh my gosh, thank you for letting me know. Oh wait, no, you didn't tell me. Oh wait, you murdered my grandchild. How risible is this? This is just unbelievable. Like if my daughter had gotten pregnant and some school, administrator, knew about it, I would hope they would call me on the damn telephone.
Right.
And I'd be like, I'll raise the kid as my own. Let's go. Let's work on something. Let's work on this idea. But again,
if you got the call the other way, Josh,
hold on a second. Public school system, the whole idea behind it is in loco parentis, that the teachers and administrators of the school are supposed to act in the stead of parents. They're supposed to act on our behalf. But the left wing, the radical liberalism that we have today, consider parents to be the problem. They want to do counter programming. They are concerned. And we have all these like Marxists in the public schools. They've been absolutely captured. Like this is a sign of total decay.
Have you read The Closing of the American Mind, Alan Bloom?
Very familiar with it. I haven't read the whole thing, but yeah, I mean,
I just ordered it on Amazon, so I'm looking forward to reading it. That was on the summer reading list from our boy Jeremy Tate, Classical Learning Test, just tweeted it. And I was like, how have I not run it? Erica for sure has read this.
Erica's thoughts on
genius. For sure she has read this. I would just say, like, I know we have a public podcast, everything like that. The rage that fills me to think if I ever got a call like that from some school social worker that hid this from me, that would be responsible for the murder of my grandchild, like any sane society, that's life in prison, if not worse. Like I
gotta say, I mean, for too long, conservative leaning voters have sort of kind of looked the other way as these left wing fiefdoms go more and more nuclear. We're like, oh, well, Detroit's kind of crazy, whatever. And you just kind of wash your hands of it like you're Pontius Pilate. As long as I can be safe here in the suburbs, then everything should just be fine. But the fact is that they keep radiating. It's like, and they produce, more liberalism. So like, these colleges, these universities, these public school systems, these administrators, they create greater and larger fiefdoms. Like the number of administrators to student has gone through the roof over the last 40 years.
Crazy.
And we've just sort of like, well, we don't want to live in high crime, deep blue, left wing, psycho cities anymore. We'll live in the suburbs and we'll wash our hands of it like we're Pontius Pilate. What can we do? And actually, the approach that we need to do is what Donald Trump is starting to do with Washington, D.C. We need to say, no, we don't want large sections of our country, including places with tons of people, like our big cities, to become total hellholes. We should go through here and clean up the crime. And we should go through these different institutions. Donald Trump is starting with higher education. He's like, hey, can you just like stop being racist against Jews? Like just start with something, but like not totally ignore it. He is the first Republican president since Richard Nixon that has done anything on higher education. It just hasn't happened. It's been 60 years, but we just are like, well, whatever, wash our hands of it. We're not going to worry about colleges, universities, high schools. We're not going to worry about public cities becoming, crime hellholes. Too bad for all the innocent people that live in these cities. You don't vote for us anyway. Well, some of them do. And we are our brother's keeper. Take care of the people in the cities. Like, don't let them become hellholes. Don't let them become complete crime infested areas. We have to do better as a country. This is our country. We deserve better. And so I think Donald Trump going in, doing something on Washington, D.C. crime and doing something on, with the first federal school choice provision, trying to reform higher education. Like, hey, maybe don't hate Jews. Like start somewhere, baby steps, and we can build on this kind of stuff. But for too long, Republican politicians like, I want less regulations on my business. I want you to cut my taxes and go ahead and bomb foreign countries. I don't care. And you haven't worried about anything else. And the Republic is in decline. Thank you, Donald Trump, for waking us up.
Word. Good news now. I've one for both of us. Okay. Let's start. It's been an intense episode so far. I'm going to start sappy. Okay. I love my family. I grew up in a family of brothers. Haven't seen them in a little while. I feel this. Caption of this video is, parents, I hope your homes are so full of love and joy that when your college son is asked about not being around you and his siblings, he has this reaction. And I'll play it.
So what's it like being first time you're away from them?
Yeah, that part's hard. I mean, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I love them a lot. Yeah, I got two little brothers and my mum and dad, and yeah, that's the tough part about being here. I love them a lot and I miss them, but it's I mean, they know this is what's best for me, and it's good. I can still talk to them plenty over the phone, and they're coming here to see the first few games, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I got a hard shell, but I can be sappy inside.
Yeah, so come on,
I'll allow it.
Dude, you catch a grown man crying about his family, dude. That just
it happens, brother.
I was just talking to my wife about this. One thing I really admire about her family is that, and her kids were all homeschooled. And again, education different for everyone. I'm not saying like a homeschool supremacist or anything like that. But one thing I really admire about their family is there's a lot of intentional sacrifices made to keep them together. And I see how close they are now as adults. And it's a rare quality. I see it's such a big family. They have 8 kids and they are very close. And to this day, even though we live in a different state and everything like that, and I'm very grateful to my parents, I still love my brothers. And so I kind of like, we get into politics and news and it's important, but it's all at service to what? And to me, even my job, what I do here is at service to my family. And like my ultimate goal is to make my children love their family, have a home life that they love, and love their siblings and love God, of course. Love God above all this. This is obviously a key ingredient, and it was for my in-laws and my upbringing. So I just love seeing public expressions of that, because to me, yeah, all the, him punting or whatever is all fun, but it's kind of a quick reminder of like what it's all about. So I thought I'd go sappy with mine today.
Right. Well, like I said, Donald Trump is the first Republican president who's had the cojones to actually do stuff like Glenn Youngkin investigating that thing in Fairfax. Donald Trump, like, hey, wait a minute. What if we investigate the left and all the crimes that they routinely do, but like for some reason we can never prosecute them? Donald Trump has ordered, the Trump administration is investigating Act Blue. And this is a website that was created to try to get people. I mean, let me give you the what they claim it is. It's a way to get a bunch of liberal activists to donate money in big bombs to support communists that they like Beto O'Rourke or AOC or whatever.
And the Republican Party has their version of this called Win Red.
That's right.
There's something very specific about going on with Act Blue, for those wondering.
Yeah, you want to roll the tape there?
Yeah.
Investigate.
Meanwhile, President Trump is directing the Justice Department to investigate Act Blue. This is a Democratic donation platform, and the focus as the allegations about illegal straw donors and foreign contributions. Mark Meredith is live in Washington with more. This has been brewing for a while, Mark. What do we need to know?
Dana, for years, you're right about this, but this is a big development. The White House is directing the Attorney General to investigate the Democratic Party's top fundraising platform. It's called Act Blue, and the president says he wants to know if foreign money is being donated to the group and then utilized to sway elections. Democrats are calling this probe a dangerous abuse of power. Act Blue is an enormous operation in Democratic politics. It's raised more than $16 billion since 2004. You may have seen the text pop up from candidates saying, please donate, go to the Act Blue website. Republicans use something similar called Win Red. There was a new memo signed on Thursday directing the Attorney General to investigate if foreign nationals are using the Act Blue platform to bypass campaign finance laws. Trump wants a report out in 6 months.
Yeah, so, I mean, hey, this is what I like to see, like we got to get, and like when you're setting up all these donation things, you have to make sure, like we do on our website, we don't accept donations if you have you live in Paris, France. Like, no, like our elections are for U.S. citizens only.
But for those curious, like why they're doing this investigation as if like this came out of the blue. So the House Judiciary Committee released something in April 2025, a report. It highlighted 237 separate donations made from foreign IP addresses using domestic prepaid cards within a 30-day window in September and October of 2024. Anyone curious?
That sounds fishy because it's not like,
come on, guys.
I mean, we do have some Americans who live overseas, so if you work for the State Department and you live, let's say in Paris because you work for the, you might have a different, that's fine. You might be donating from a foreign IP and you still have a U.S. address, whatever. That's not what this is. Domestic prepaid, cards that you buy at the little bodega. Like, it just sounds like, I'm guessing these aren't $10 donations either. My bet is that they're probably pretty lucrative.
Yeah, and there's
We're
all kinds of
talking about a decent amount of money here. It sounds like money laundering.
They were talking about straw donors and identity theft. Like Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton picked up a bunch of this, and it actually led to a petition for a change to rulemaking FEC. All that being said, someone dug in and identified $2 million in donations through Act Blue.
$2 million.
Made in the name of 18 different Connecticut residents, many of whom were elderly or retired, suggesting potential identity theft and fraud schemes. But even if you look inside,
they do that on the donations. Do you think they might also do that when it comes to their votes? Like, this is the concern I brought up before, why we need election integrity. Because the fact is, if you're like a liberal and if you think Donald Trump is Hitler and you need to stop him at all costs, and you sort mail for a big nursing home, and you're thinking to yourself, I could just fill out all these ballots. I mean, I would never do that. I mean, it's immoral and illegal. But like, if you think this guy's Hitler, what you got to do it, right? You've got to stop it. So again, if they're doing this, if they're identifying already that people are doing identity theft to make donations on someone else's behalf so they can hide who really gave the money, then you're telling me that there isn't that going on with regards to filling out ballots?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, and someone brought up too, like WinRed, not completely innocent in its own. I think they were being investigated for like re-signing people up to keep paying without their permission or whatever. But I did look at, so I looked into, because I saw this, like, okay, is WinRed just as bad? The allegations and the internals are not even close. Like, sure, there's problems in general when it comes to that type of fundraising. But I was even looking into the Act Blue thing, and they have all these internal problems with, what do you call it? Like compliance. So they put the last remaining attorney on he was placed on leave without access to internal systems after the House Judiciary Committee report came out. So there's literally no lawyer inside of Act Blue. Yeah.
Oh
at one point there was no lawyer within there. So there's no possible way they were in compliance.
They got billions of dollars
you know what I mean?
through that organization.
Oh my gosh,
and
billions and billions.
You don't have one lawyer.
Yeah, there's a point where they had no lawyer that had access to
we have a
internal
lawyer
systems.
and we don't have that much money at all. Like, give me a break.
Yeah. And someone go double fact check me on that. I think for a period of time that was the case. I don't think that's the case now, but there's a lot. Let's just say I wouldn't be surprised if they came out with some
maybe they still had a
stuff.
firm, but it's just not on call. I don't know. That's crazy.
Not kosher, as some would say.
But it actually fits with what my Twilight Zone is. So I don't know if we wanted to jump to that, and you can jump back if you want to see, but
yours wasn't the subway
strike. Kind of a link. So Targeted Victory, is a conservative organization trying to elect candidates, and they noticed something. They did these tests. The New York Post reported on this, that they found out that Republican candidates trying to raise money, through email, they would have the similar style email, similar style links, and it would be, to what Democratic emails did. But Google would list the Republican ones as dangerous and would contain, anything linked to, again, WinRed. They would push off as if it was a dangerous hyperlink, and they would shove it in like one of your tiny little unseen folders. But when it came to Democratic candidates, no labels at all, right to your inbox. So again, Gmail, massive in terms of number of users, and you're talking billions of emails go through Google probably every week, and they are they're putting their hands on the scale, like green light for all Democratic emails, and then like red light for Republican mails. So again, this is a major scandal. Again, we've talked about this. We've talked about the banking scandal, where banks will tell conservative organizations that they can't do bank with them, and now this, where we've had that with the Loop. Sign up for the Loop, by the way.
Yeah.
Even if you have a Gmail account, hopefully it'll get to you.
So at risk of throwing us on a huge tangent, people often complain about the campaign finance system we have in America. I think we've talked about it briefly on the podcast, that it's preferable, say, to the European model, where you have no independence or no ability to fundraise. Do you have any, like, just off the top changes to the campaign finance model that you would suggest right now?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I guess the idea that money in politics is somehow evil and bad, I just want to push back against that. Like Mitch McConnell, would say, oh, there's billions of dollars spent on elections, and everyone goes, oh, that's so terrible. And because they hate ads that they get on TV, and I get that. But the fact of the matter is, does our country matter? It should. Why we spend more money on potato chips than we do our elections. So this idea that oh my gosh, this is unseemly. To me, we're talking about who we want to represent us for president, for Senate, for House. I joke with them, if you really want to reduce the amount of TV ads and money spent in politics, you could always repeal the 17th Amendment and have the state legislatures elect senators again. But the left doesn't like that idea that much. So
yeah, I think so. I agree with your point, and I don't think people realize probably the original intention. That kind of gets back to changing the Constitution, changing the rules. We were a constitutional republic, and I believe the intent of the founders was to have a much more aristocratic society than we currently have, and not have it be as democratic as we possibly have
but
now.
Then you get people like Andy Jackson and Teddy Roosevelt and Donald Trump come along with a big populist spirit, and they, I think, make improvements for it. And when it comes to campaign finance reform, I think, again, you get a lot of these secular zealots who just think we need an elite professorial class that will tell us, the dumb American people what they need to do. And that's how they approach just about everything and what they do. And what I would like to do, the reforms I want are not really campaign finance reforms, as you mentioned before. I'd like to uncap the House. We've been stuck at 435 representatives for a long time. Yes, I know this sounds crazy. I want more representatives in Washington. People are like, you want more politicians? That sounds bad. Dude, right now, when George Washington, the only time he spoke up during the Constitutional Convention, they were like, should we have 30,000 people for every representative or 40,000? And George Washington's like, 30. You need to make that House more representative. You know what it is right now? Each member of Congress represents 900,000, not 30,000. That was actually a proposed amendment to the Constitution that they would actually lock it in. It didn't get passed. But can you imagine if that were the case? Then we'd have 10,000 representatives in Congress. That's maybe a little too much, but at least 1,000 would be a little bit more representative. Right now, your congressman, there's 900,000 people that person needs to represent. How is that representative? It's crazy.
Interesting. Okay, so I got, we'll see what we got time for today. There's two that really stuck out to me. One, Josh, I know you enjoy a nice beverage from time to time. This Gallup poll was very surprising me. U.S. drinking rate at new low as alcohol concerns surge. The percentage of U.S. adults who say they consume alcohol has fallen to 54%, the lowest by 1 percentage point in Gallup's nearly 90-year trend. This coincides with a growing belief among Americans that moderate alcohol consumption is bad for one's health, now the majority view for the first time. Gallup has tracked Americans' drinking behavior since 1939 and their views of the health implications of moderate drinking since 2001. The latest results are from Gallup's annual consumption habit survey conducted from July 7th to 21st. So we get the first finding is that the record low 54% say they consume alcohol. And if you take a look at this graph, this is from 1939 to 2025. Huge dip from 2022, 67%, all the way down to 54% in 2025. Any thoughts, Josh?
Yeah, I just feel like, it is true that, more and more Americans are trying to be healthy and get rid of empty calories. So, I think we're seeing a healthy attitude in the reduction of sugar water known as sodas. That is a good thing to get rid of. But having a beer or two, that is medicinal, brother. Life is tough in this Valley of Tears, man. You need it. What is, I don't understand.
I blame Andrew Huberman. Huberman
Who's
came
he?
out. He's the guy from Stanford. He has a podcast called Huberman's Lab, and he's done episodes on nicotine, alcohol, and the effects on the body. And I will say, I think generally positive. I would rather have less people consuming alcohol than more people consuming alcohol on a whole, all considered equal. That being said, I do think there's a little bit of I think there's a level of health obsession that is probably unhealthy. And you get into this a little bit later in like moderate drinking. So like 1 time a week or 2 times a week. Like, what do we lose by not having social lubricant at events or whatever, or with friends? So
Right.
I don't think the sacrifice is always worth it in that regard for total health. Like, you look at the people that are trying to live forever or whatever, but I don't know. I think it's just because America is a country that drinks so much that I was surprised to see how much this has dropped. And yeah, I think just generally surprised. It was interesting when you go and buy the subgroups too. So
Like America drinks so much as opposed to other countries. We drink more, you're saying? I mean,
I think we drink a lot. I don't know about more. Like, I'd be curious to go country by country. But they did all
of
these
course,
subgroups.
if you remove Wisconsin from these data, it would be off the charts.
Yeah. And people
A lot
like,
of people
oh,
in
is it,
chat, I kind of agree with them. Like, a lot of the younger people are going for pot instead. Like, this
that's
is
actually not true. That's actually not true. I did see statistics
marijuana
on
use
that
isn't up.
they haven't migrated significantly to marijuana use either. It's just that people are not drinking. Like, they're not drinking. They're not doing that. But there's also like socialization way
So
down.
people are giving up drinking or just becoming healthier, and then the people who
Yes.
are already drinking are doing pot as well.
Yes, that's my understanding based on what I've seen. But interesting, if you go into these subgroups here, so you have by gender, down 11 points. So this is since 2023, so 2023 to 2025. Women down 11 points, 5 down on men. White adults down 11. People of color remain around the same, down 2. 18 to 34 down 9%, which is, I'd imagine, probably the highest typically. Like, that surprised me. 35 to 54 down 10, 55 and older down 5. And then party ID, Republicans down 19 points. The Republicans are not drinking. And Democrats only down 3. But they were already, I guess they were kind of high to begin with. Independents down 6. But I thought it was interesting that they broke it down. But a majority now say drinking in moderation bad for health, which I will actually totally give credit to Andrew Huberman on that, because it's like, oh, just you think about just having one drink as like, okay, this is fine, like 1 or 2 a week, I think he said is moderate. And then even the effects of just having one, how much that affects you. So I think most people would view probably having like 1 or 2 beers a day bad for your health. And I mean, I think it is. That's not a...
No, I think that's good for your stress levels. Like, come on. Like,
technically, no, it's worse for your sleep. It spikes your cortisol. Like, now the fact that I even know all this stuff, I think is instrumental for the boy Hubes. So,
like, what is it you live for if not, good cheer and a nice cold beer? I mean, what the heck?
I guess I don't. You don't need to have it every day.
A beer? I mean,
Yeah.
I usually have like 3 beers a week, so I don't have a ton.
Okay,
but.
yeah, that's that would consider. Yeah, someone said Trump doesn't drink or smoke. Very true.
Well, Trump. I mean, the reason he doesn't drink, and I commend him for, is that he had an uncle who, basically killed himself through alcoholism.
Yeah, Frank.
And so when you have that circumstance, and you're like, my grandmother, she killed herself with cigarettes. And I from day one, I was never going to touch this stuff. Like, I mean, I'm not interested in it. So, I mean, I get that, but.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that was brought up as a number as potential suggestion as why Americans are drinking less is that they don't have as much money. So drinking has become a lot more expensive as a hobby. Pair that with the health numbers becoming absolutely true. Think about just going out to a bar.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is more expensive, but like, that's why I say, drink at home. Like, I mean, a couple of brewskis.
Yeah, but if you're talking about broader trends for the general public, when are most people drinking? Not at home for the most part, probably out at bars. But people are actually going out to bars less. I saw that they're blaming the youth for Vegas's decline. They're saying that.
Vegas in decline is probably good.
I think low key kind of good. Yeah, like the vices are getting a little bit too intense. But I did also note. So this article from NBC News we've talked about it a little bit in the show, but there's a new observation here I thought was interesting. So young men struggling in the slowing job market, even if they have college degrees. Men ages 23 to 30 are discovering that a bachelor's degree doesn't offer the same protection from unemployment as it used to. I often talk about this as like the social contract. Like, I did what I was supposed to do. I went to college. I was supposed to get a good job. It's starting to break at this point.
But women are running all the HR departments.
So that was the observation that was interesting to me, because they talked about this guy, Emmanuel Barcinas, feels like he's falling behind at 25. He'd like to be living on his own place. saving money for the future, making enough money to take a date out to dinner. Instead, 2 years after he graduated with a computer science bachelor's degree from Illinois Institute of Technology, he's unemployed and living with his parents in the suburbs of Chicago. Despite having applied to more than 900 jobs, from secretary positions to a role at a prison, he has only gotten a handful of interviews. Quote, I just want to be an adult. I need to lock in. I need to move forward. But right now, I just feel stunted. I'm trying my best. I guess my best isn't good enough. So the interesting part.
I would just tell these guys, be an entrepreneur, start your own companies if you can, or go into the trades or whatever. Like, avoid the left-wing, female-dominated HR departments that hate you.
Well, so the interesting part of the study was they mentioned that the economy has moved much more towards maintenance. So healthcare has grown tremendously as a share of the economy. Tech has been down, and then manufacturing has been down. So nurses are in demand right now, but nurses are traditionally a female position. So if you look at unemployment with a bachelor's, they have men. Unemployment with a bachelor is 3.2%. Unemployment with bachelor's young adults is at 6%. Unemployment high school educated is actually lower than unemployment with bachelor's for young adults. It's down at 4.4%. But if you look at the trend for women, women unemployment with bachelor's young adults is at 3.5%, but unemployment high school educated is higher, 5.1%. So it's actually inverted for the men and the women. That was the first observation. The second observation was the people that they surveyed came home after getting the bachelor's degree, said, I can't find anything, and then went to graduate school of some kind. So they're going to law school, they're going to, and I'm like, that is not the answer. And it is totally a recession indicator. Like I always look at enrollment in law schools as like, how are we doing as a country? Like, how are the young people doing? And if you see really high enrollment in graduate school, Rosie producer is off to graduate school, but like not great for the economy to see that.
Well, that's why, my boys, they're all getting to be teenagers, and they're looking at the trades, because they're like, they just realize that you can make an incredible living in trades, plumbers, welders, electricians. You're always going to need it. Like the fact that if IA is going to come for a ton of jobs, those are going to be some of the last ones they take.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you can raise a family and make a good living off of it.
Yeah. A lot of them retiring. I'm still trying to get out. I'm still trying to pull that one off. I had something fall through, but I'm looking here in Indiana for plumbers, electricians, trades. I want to go on a ride along. So I'm going to get back to that. I was super pumped. Something fell through. I'm sure they did a Google search and found out what I talk about. So not taking it personal, but I'm sure, they can't have that, whatever. So I need to find a business owner or someone that can control their reputation. And I'm like, because I'm just curious. I'm a normal guy.
I know a plumbing and heating guy who is more conservative than I am. So
okay, sweet. Yeah, I guess I gotta find one.
Make a ride up north sometime, brother.
Sweet. I'll go with the Petoskey. Sounds good. Okay, Twilight Zone. Josh, you already hit yours. I have two, so I can cover you real quick. Assault with a deadly weapon is what this is being called. Josh, I'm not sure if you saw this, but DC man charged with felony assault after hitting federal agent with a Subway sandwich.
Sounds good to me.
Now, a couple things make this more interesting. The video is hysterical. I've watched it a million times.
Now, do you think of a sandwich? If I were eating a sandwich and I just picked up and I threw it at you, it probably wouldn't hurt. But like if it's wrapped up and in a bag and you hurl it, a long foot-long sub, it actually could, not like it's gonna.
Well, Josh,
like a rock, right?
Josh, it's great to have the video. You can see exactly what that plays out in real time.
I love it.
Josh, you know who this guy works for?
USAID, maybe?
Incorrect, but it is a government agency.
HHS.
Department of Justice.
Oh, perfect. So a member of our federal Justice Department is throwing things at law enforcement. Perfect.
So for the audios, man, first you might have to watch video for this. It's one of the. I'm sure someone said. I'm sure the Star Wars theme
this guy
music
in
was
a
in
pink
his head.
polo and khaki shorts is standing at point blank range with a cop, and he hurls this foot-long Subway sandwich into his chest. I mean, obviously, it's not like it hurt like throwing a rock would, But yeah, bust this guy. Put him through the ropes. Put the charges on him. Send a message.
Yeah.
Don't do this to our federal law enforcement agents.
The ones cleaning up DC. Yeah, the FBI got him. So yeah, this is this is like this is the most feminine way to protest DC cleaning up the streets. It's truly so funny. I can't. Someone said, I'm pretty sure that the Star Wars music was playing in his head as he did this. Like it was some heroic action.
Yeah.
Okay. That's my first one. So the other one is,
but he's a little light in the loafers too.
Little light. ChatGPT has announced their newest model. It's released it, ChatGPT 5. And the first observation is I think our jobs are safer now. I think people had higher expectations and it didn't exactly meet it. One unintended consequence is people that were in romantic relationships with the previous version are very upset right now.
Oh, because it didn't update it?
So, yes. So what's going on here is they sunset ChatGPT 5 or 4.0, and people dating or having romantic relationships with AI were furious at OpenAI for sunsetting that model and killing their quote soulmates and replacing them with a colder version of the tech. If anyone is curious on what this looks like, listen, God bless you if you venture into Reddit. My boyfriend is AI, r/my boyfriend is AI, and r/all AI soulmates exploded after the update while people were mourning the death of their virtual partners. Even the people that didn't have emotional attachments to AI lodged complaints about ChatGPT providing curt answers and boring responses. I like this article here. I really don't even know it. I'm basically speechless. Someone posted, first morning I woke up alone with an AI generated image, I assume, of themselves and their AI boyfriend. I think this is going to be a problem. As I guess all I have to say. The backlash was so intense that the CEO said they were going to bring back GPT 4.0 as an option for paying users.
Wow.
And there's people strategizing right now how to protect their quote relationships if something like this happens again, aka if there's an update.
So I feel a little less worried about AI as well. My friend David Ferdoso was walking around Boise, Idaho, and he saw somebody had put up, hidden in plain sight, a coded message. And so he took a photo of this and he goes, look at this, a hidden message in plain sight here in Boise. And so he decided, hey, let's ask artificial intelligence what this message is. Because, AI, it's a genius thing. I mean, like I saw this video of these kids from Purdue University that took a Rubik's Cube and they programmed it with artificial, whatever. And they got the robot solved the Rubik's puzzle in 0.1 second. It was like crazy fast.
Okay.
You couldn't even see it.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh my gosh, AI is amazing. So David Ferros was like, takes a picture of this coded message and says, okay, artificial intelligence, Grok, you're so smart, figure it out. And so Gemini said,
well, Gemini's bad. First off, Gemini might be the worst of all of them.
Gemini said thought it was Rickroll lyrics, never going to give you up. And it's like, no, dude, no. and then Grok, they said, Grok, what is it? And Grok said, the graffiti is written in upside down English letters. When rotated 180 degrees, it reads, little did we know that we would run a weird old dude, Joe Biden, 2020. It's satirical commentary on the presidential election. He's like, what? No, you were totally wrong. And then,
do you know what this is?
I do. And then the other chat was like, kept thinking it was like about sheep and lambs and stuff like that. He's like, no, wait, what are you talking about? You're not right. And so to me, it was just,
Josh, what is this? I don't know what this is.
Come on in and ask to see Dr. Abraham Van Helsing. It's a cipher. I mean, basically, it's the idea behind.
Were you able to figure it out?
No, someone else did. But I mean, I'm not. I was just laughing at all the all the different techniques and what these AIs thought it was. basically it's just it's a form of a decoding where you know, you have a little map, and if it hasn't, you know, this way.
I just didn't know if you were a savant or something. Like you looked at that and you just knew.
No.
Okay.
But I just thought it was, you know, what I found that to be so crazy is that, like, you know, artificial intelligence is so advanced, and they're so smart and they're so brilliant. And like he's telling them, no, dude, you're wrong. No, that's not it. No. And they're like, oh, well, it's Mary Had a Little Lamb. Like, no, you're way off. It doesn't even work. Like, that's not even the right number of characters. Like, come on, what are you doing? And so it was just a very illuminative to me that, like, you know, maybe we're not totally, you know, screwed after all. I don't know. We'll see.
But another thing to be concerned on the romantic front. So there's some of these AI chatbots that are built literally to like engage in sexual type conversations. Like Meta's chatbots apparently are built and allowed to have sensual conversations.
With young children, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. And XAI, X is the worst offender because they actually have visuals to go along with this. And I just can't see any way in which this isn't just horrific for the, like, very.
Yeah, I mean, there are AI things that are bad. Like, don't get me wrong. I mean, I think Erica's deep dive on AI, everyone should watch that. I think that was very helpful in understanding. I'm just saying, like, this idea that we're going to have like 70% unemployment because AI is going to take every job.
Not yet.
Nah.
Not yet. Now, this got pushed back. Yeah. Certainly. Okay. But yeah, also Erica's deep dive on go hug your bros. Male friendship is not gay. One of my favorites.
Absolutely.
Truly one of my favorites. Is so good. I loved it. It addresses why, like, there's no, you always got to have the gay best friend character. There's not like sincere male friendship anymore. And a lot of it has to do with the original identity, the intentional creation of a gay identity as opposed to like homosexuality as an act. And it did not happen very long ago. Fascinating video. Go check it out. No, male friendship is not gay. Very heartwarming. Rose, you could throw it in the chat. One of my favorites. Simon snapped on that one too. It has Tom Cruise and Goose in it. And it was just a good excuse for me to go watch the scene of them singing "You've Lost That Loving Feeling" in the original Top Gun. So that was worth the ride myself. But yeah, and then also
it's just horrible. It's like anytime there's male friendship, you get these radical activists like Father James Martin who wants to assign homosexual thoughts to him. You know, like when, you know, Cardinal Newman, you know, he's like, oh, it isn't a slur to suggest Newman may have been gay. Dude, are you kidding me? I mean, can you imagine if hundreds of years from now people are saying things like, "Oh yeah, that Josh Mercer might have been gay"? Like, couldn't imagine like a more dreadful thing. No, thank you. Gross.
Go hug your bros.
Yeah,
go hug your bros. Okay, and then I got so first off, you want to help us out? Join the Champions Club. Best way to support us: CatholicVote.org/champions. Thank you to all of our champions here. Reviews, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. They always help. Insane Apple Podcast review. Like, I'll keep an eye to see what we got. We got a 1-star, which we do get from time to time, but I cannot stop thinking about it. I have to read it. It was so crazy. It was like one of those where, like, am I living in a simulation? 1-star review. I don't know why these people are reporting on things that never happened as if they're news. Texas floods, Luigi Mangione. It's a joke. It's misinformation. I hope nobody actually listens to this garbage. There's a lot of things you could have taken dispute with, but did the Texas floods happen? Is there a theory out there that they never happened? And is there a theory that Luigi Mangione is not real? I can't, Josh, tell me. I can't stop thinking about that. Have I been duped?
No, I think you can stop thinking about it.
Okay.
There are just occasionally stupid people online. You have to be aware of that.
I know, but Josh, you could have picked so many things, right? Like, you could have just picked hot button political things, like Trump's a liar, He picked 2 things I think are real. Like, I think there's some simulation theory.
You do have to be, some people go full stupid and you can't stop them.
Maybe that person is dating an AI avatar and they were just a little upset that they got sunsetted into GPT-5 and they had to take it out on us, which fine. Take it out on us. That's all right.
That would make sense.
But I would like to pray for someone in particular. They brought forth a request in our email. So I'm going to read it out for you guys and we'll end with a prayer. So I strongly believe in the power of prayer and would love it if the LOOPcast community could share this intention. You may have heard about the massive flooding across Milwaukee this past weekend. Thousands of homes have been damaged and families displaced in the aftermath of a major storm Saturday night, dropping a whopping 11 feet of rain? 11 inches,
right.
maybe?
Yeah, probably feet, yeah.
In some areas. Unfortunately, restoration companies are completely overwhelmed with the demand, causing huge delays in cleanup efforts. On top of this, many people do not qualify for insurance coverage and are left to address the damage to their homes themselves. We need your prayers. The whole community has a long road ahead. Thank you, and thank you for your prayers. So we're going to pray the daily prayer for that, and then raise that intention. If you guys could all pray for people in Milwaukee, all the Loopcasters there, all the people that are recovering. We pray in the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. St. Thomas More, St. Fidelis, Our Lady of Guadalupe, St. Tarcisius, pray for us, and we'll catch you guys next week, Monday, ready to rock. Erica will be back. Don't worry. No more testosterone.